Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
The 0-1. Warner hits a ground ball left side. Anderson, the third baseman, will throw to first. Bad throw! Bad throw! Topman scores! Cubs take the lead. Nico in a rundown between first and second. He will be out of the baseline, but the Cubs have taken the lead.
First pitch from Anderson, and he drills it to right field. Still going. Malacalle Pena. 5-0. High arcing fly ball to right field. The other way for Pena.
He swings and slams it deep down the line and right toward the foul pole, and it is gone. A green light 3-0 for Ryan Noda. And he blasts it out of Comerica with a man on, and it's 3-0 Oakland.
Fly ball left center field. A 3-run home run. You can't keep giving away free stuff. The Dodgers more than happy to take it. 6 walks tonight given up by Pirate pitching. 4 of them have come around to score.
Bottom of the 9th inning. There goes Hampson. The pitch is dribbled towards Hicks. He's got it. He's going to throw it to first. He threw it away. Hampson's going to score. Going toward third, Gurriel. He's going to try to score. He's going to score. The Marlins just walked off the Cardinals in the bottom of the 9th inning. An error from Jordan Hicks. Oh, my goodness. They've done it again. They have done it again. The Marlins win it 10-9.
Oh my goodness, we're doing another show. Hey, welcome back. What a night it was to be a Cardinal fan.
I don't think Shane understood on the text chain. I said this Cardinals Marlins game is absolutely drunk.
I forgot that we had John Lester.
It was just back and forth and back and forth. Like if you're a regular season fan and you fan, well, your anxiety had to be like, what is going on?
How about Marmol after the game saying, yeah, we scored 9, but we gave up 10, and Major League Baseball teams don't give up 10 runs.
And the only error you had was the one that ultimately.
Oh, that was an error? I couldn't tell.
What'd you say? It was like Hicks had the Marlins on the money line?
Yeah. I mean, you walked the first guy in the inning. I can't remember how dude number 2 got on first base, but then, Jordan Hicks. First off, the Cardinals bullpen. Yeah, I mean, we can't rest easy at all at night with that bullpen.
It's always an adventure.
But he doesn't check the runners.
No.
Who was on second? Was it Wendell? Wendell put the ball in play.
It was halfway to third. You're almost absolutely correct.
Yeah. By the time that ball got to Contreras, it was already a situation of, hey, the runner that was on second base, he's on third now. And a little short dribbler to the pitcher. I don't know what happened in that moment. I don't know if he's getting yelled at to go to first. I don't know if he's hearing things from the Marlins dugout because, they're getting guys on second and third. I don't know what you're listening to, but it doesn't warrant an overthrow.
Or belly itcher or something like that.
Big butt, whatever it is. Yeah. Jordan Hicks, everybody.
God bless you, Cardinal fans. I got to
rest in
George or Micah to see Jordan today to work out, and this is he probably hasn't put it on his new vehicle, but remember he's a Cardinals fan, big baseball guy, and has like the Cardinal bumper sticker. Like
I don't put stickers on my cars.
George's that guy. He's that guy.
My brother puts a blue sticker on his car too. I'm just not that guy.
Now I got to tell you though, I see some hilarious bumper stickers. Like
ones that you would rep yourself?
No.
Okay.
No. So I'm not a bumper sticker guy, but I like to laugh, right? And I pulled up the other day. So they changed all these parking meters by my barber.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the bumper stickers on the car walking back, they go to this little boutique on the corner. There's like this little this bougie boutique that's right on the corner of his barbershop. And the bumper sticker said, it was this little finite print. So, and I'm like, God, I really can't see. But the bumper sticker ended up saying, if you're too close, or if you can read this, you're too close. But
And you took humor in that.
yeah, I thought it was kind of funny because here I am, like
Too close.
and I'm walking. So just imagine if you're a car, and the other one said, because we joked about it yesterday, or maybe it was off air. Remember when I said if you get passed on the right, you're an idiot?
Yes.
So this bumper sticker said, passing isn't a right of way. So
okay.
I thought, so that's a person that like has had some experiences on the road, and they probably want you to know that they're not here for it.
I have so many pet peeves.
It was like this little, those
So many.
Subarus that come in that like weird blue color,
and the ones that go, eh.
No,
Oh,
the little Outbacks. That's what it was. It was kind of funny.
okay.
Yeah.
Was it covered in bumper stickers?
No, it just had the two.
Just the two. Okay.
Yeah, and
I know a car back home that's covered. And
I don't
like,
want to. I don't want to assume any gender that was in the boutique,
I'm thinking
but it is a
boutique.
NASCAR
driver.
And I just wondered. My first immediate thought, I was like, I bet these ladies in here think I'm like some weird stalker, right? I like got a hoodie on, my shorts. It's like
Are you like the fake person on the plane?
It's like 96 degrees.
Guy in the green hoodie.
I don't understand that. Like,
you're not real, DB, if you have your hoodie on.
So I felt like it was an episode on Big Daddy where the little dude put the sunglasses, where Julian put the sunglasses on and people couldn't see him. But it was on my TikTok like 3 different times. I was like,
I had a couple of those videos. I had that one that popped up a ton. I had the pizza delivery driver that popped up a couple of times.
I didn't see the pizza delivery driver.
Man.
I'll
save that question for the 6-pack today.
I was deep in I finished Blackbird. It's only 6 episodes.
Okay.
So I watched 3, 4.
Late into the night, or
probably just till 11. 3, 4, 5, 6. Not bad. I mean, that's typical. Although I do need to, like, we're bordering on not healthy. I probably do need to get at least 6 hours at some point. You know what I mean?
How do you not get sick?
I take a lot of vitamins. Although my whole routine is screwed up again. Thanks for asking about my personal life. But I usually brush my teeth before I get in the shower. Occasionally I'll brush them in the shower, but I'm having to go.
Is that in the morning or at night?
In the morning.
Okay.
I'm having to go like before I shower, then again after, because I cannot get the apple cider vinegar, turmeric, cayenne, lemon thing out of my, and it didn't. I don't remember it being like that before, but maybe I'm doing too much, because it's only like 6 ounces.
I gotta tell you, every time you say those ingredients, I'm like, there's
trust
no way I'd put that in
me,
liquid.
It's not delicious. It's not delicious.
You're using that to marinate chicken.
I
Which, by the way, it is National Fried Chicken Day.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do the whole fry thing. Although if I
saw
did,
Bobby Flay make some buttermilk fried chicken the other day.
Oh, listen, I've had the same thing of regular oil for probably 8 months, and it's not a big bottle. Now my olive oil, I've gone through a little bit. I got some Pompeii, which is kind of overrated from a health standpoint. And I think
I have Pompeii
avocado spray, but my regular oil, I don't do anything with it except season my skillets.
I thought, whoa.
Oh, like just canola oil?
Yeah,
whatever?
like I just a little drop.
Yeah.
After I did some dip yesterday in the skillet.
Yeah, not like the dip in your back pocket.
No, and smoked it in the skillet. It's pretty good. I believe. Get this. Do you know what I had for dinner yesterday? Yeah, this is like the most anti-DB thing ever. I had a frozen. I know
pizza.
No, you're nuts.
Well, that would have been anti-DB.
Yeah, I had a frozen beer battered cod fillet.
Really? Did you just throw it in the air fryer?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good though. and so easy.
I was a little. You're like, well, duh. I was a little underwhelmed. I even put I had some Slap Your Mom on there and a little Old Bay. Just not what I was expecting.
When you cook all the time,
and I just didn't feel like it.
Yep, and that happens. I've gone through that too.
I'm
and what's better, going out or getting takeout, or just grabbing something out of the freezer like you're saving money?
Yeah, I'm like, it's okay.
It'll do.
Yeah.
But there's no reward to it because you undo the wrapping, right? You just toss it in the air fryer at
so good
375, 400.
And sometimes
really? It looks good on the box.
I know. I feel for the okie doke, the old banana in the tailpipe. And but it just, I don't know. I just wanted something simple.
Mm-hmm.
I almost
was it just you?
It was, yeah. I mean, so ate. She had a corn dog, and Jay was kind of doing her. She had
because you're not one to go to the freezer unless it's cooked for 1 or 2.
No, I had to get Zoe a corn dog.
Mm.
She goes through. It seems like she only eats 3 or 4 proteins.
Hot dog?
Yep. Chicken nuggets.
I forgot about the nugs.
She likes fish sticks. Now, allegedly, I wasn't
good variety.
I wasn't here for it, but I think Jay made scrambled eggs and she put chorizo in there. She had leftover chorizo, and I think Zoe ate that.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I could have used that this morning. I'm kind of hungry.
I
didn't want to eat.
I'm not a breakfast time guy, even though it's my favorite food, and I'm really hungry.
Well, I just don't like eating this early.
I don't either.
Because
I never will.
I'm going to eat lunch then at 11, but then I'm not eating dinner until 6 when Ashley gets home. Yeah. I actually made, those burritos that I had at the lake? Yeah, I made 4 of those and froze them yesterday. So now I can just toss them in the I'll probably put them in the toaster oven over the air fryer so that they don't crisp up too much on the outside. So
my guy DJ was worried I wasn't eating. He gave me it was a homemade breakfast burrito. And it's kind of a fatty, it's kind of like my wrist. The crumbled breakfast sausage they use, you could tell was fresh. It wasn't like they didn't get out of the package. Like they browned that.
They did it themselves.
Yeah. And I love breakfast sausage. Not links. Like either fresh ground to make patties or crumbles. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, links are fine, but it's like
the links are.
I'm not a link dude. But I almost like good breakfast sausage
turn
as
me
much
away
as
from
bacon.
links.
Like it would be a great debate. Like if you said, "Hey, do you want sausage patties from Over Easy or bacon from
but Over Easy isn't a thing anymore, right?
I know. So 2 of my favorite breakfast spots are no longer exist. The Wicked Hen in Springfield, which was unbelievable.
Wicked Hen.
Dude, it was unreal. I think she just got tired of trying to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And
then Over Easy.
Over Easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And plus, the beautiful thing, I never eat breakfast out because I'm always working. And by the time we're done, they don't even serve breakfast.
Not really.
I mean,
well, McDonald's does.
Well, they're not getting out. We're not getting out of here before 11 most times.
Yeah, well, because all we do is shoot it afterward.
And you got to figure out what he wants to do for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Although yesterday you were probably here until 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
you did back-to-back pods.
12.
But you did Benning Bites too, right?
Yeah.
So you did 3 things after the show?
It's probably 12, 10.
Okay.
And Shane's like, let's not do that anymore. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna move NEB preps, and then
smart,
because who knows how long Dish and Ish is gonna go. We had these intense things we were talking about, and somehow we got to talking about serial killers and marine life. And then I watched Blackbird last night. I could see how the guy, spoiler alert, no, it's not spoiler alert because it's based on a true story. But the guy that played Larry in the movie, the Predator, was so good. I was captivated just watching him evolve into his role. You ever see guys like that?
They just grow on you as the movie goes on.
It's like anything William Dafoe does. I'm like, how is that guy not part of who even his little subtle role, and it wasn't subtle, and like John Wick. I'm like, William Dafoe is unbelievable. It doesn't matter what he does. But the guy that played Larry in Blackbird was unbelievable. And I found another show to probably start, even though I'm not a big. Is it Jennifer or Jessica Garner? Shane?
Jennifer.
And then it's Jessica Alba, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
and Jennifer does have a daughter. I don't know what her name is. Maybe her daughter's name is Jessica. Too.
Yeah, well, whatever. She's got a show that I scrolled through on the series. It's called The Last Thing He Told Me. I might binge that because it's only 7 episodes. I don't know how I feel about Blackbird. I liked it.
Well, you told me I had to watch it.
Well, the first 3 episodes, man, you're like, OMGZ. Off the easy. This is wild.
Did you hype it up too much for yourself?
Probably, but it's good. It's
Okay.
good. It's really good. And Spider-Man plays the the inmate. The latest Spider-Man. What's his name? Not Tobey Maguire, but the other little dude with the comb over. He has
Oh,
Andrew
yeah.
Rogers.
Tom Holland?
Shane, is that?
Yeah, it's Tom Holland.
Yeah.
By the way, Jennifer Gardner, she was great to follow during.
No, just Garner, not like you, like a hoe and a shovel.
She was great to follow. She was a great follow
I prefer
during
a trowel.
during the pandemic because she wasn't doing anything, but she was always posting videos on what she was doing, like her cooking and
Drinking and eating like the rest of us.
and she was funny. She was pretty good to follow during the pandemic.
So wait, so you guys were talking about marine life. Have you been watching the Shark Fest stuff?
Yeah, it's a knockoff, but it's fantastic.
Hey,
and sure
Ashley
enough,
and I were watching that.
guess what was
the
on
other night.
ABC News last night? The second story in.
Oh, probably
The
somebody
4
that got-
shark attacks
Yep.
in Long
I
Island.
was going to say somebody that got.
I
bit
was
by
like,
a
yeah,
shark.
take that, Ravi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a shark go through a cage.
Listen, that thing was little. You saw that from Corey.
And I'd be like, this is the dumbest thing in the world.
The
Hey.
opening in that cage was not very big. That shark had to be 5 feet, 6 feet,
Hey, guess what? Up close, that's as tall as me.
6 feet.
Well, they look
You
much.
see those at the zoo?
They look
Yeah,
much,
but they're in tanks.
when
they're
you're
not in my cage.
when you're out of the water. They
Did you
look
see the
smaller.
little weak
smaller.
slap at it. I was like, and now granted, water's heavy, which
Mm-hmm.
is why people. But it was like,
Wait, what was it like?
no, I'm not doing that again. See, that's why I try not to get on video. But I don't want the bosses mad at me. I do some stupid stuff.
Slap in the nose.
Yeah,
What is it like Wimbledon? I know we're watching it on one of these TVs.
Yeah. So I like just with only watching baseball and I'm a basketball summer league guy, full disclosure.
I'm not, but I did watch it.
Well, I just wanted to watch Brandon Miller, and because I wondered how long he's going to play,
I
how long
wanted
they're
to
going
watch Victor, but I didn't.
how
see
long
it.
they're going to shut him down. You know, how quickly they're going to shut him down because he's probably going to start. He's going to start. And I was like, oh, I tuned in to see his 4 turnovers. But
Did Victor play?
no.
Okay, so I'm not crazy because I turned it on in the third, and I'm like, oh, I'll
No,
probably see
well,
Wembanyama.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't watch the Spurs because they overlapped the Jazz and the 76ers. And I think I watched the Jazz and the 76ers. So don't quote me on Wemby.
Like I said, I only watched the third, so I do not know.
Hey, so
14 hours ago, it says he'll make his debut versus Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he did play.
Yeah. But I didn't see that until I didn't tune in until probably halfway through the second quarter, maybe.
So did he only play in the first then?
Well, I don't remember seeing him. Now,
So if you
granted,
didn't see him in the second, I
but
didn't
that
see him in
doesn't
the
mean
third.
that doesn't mean he didn't play because it was on my phone and I was watching.
So you were multitasking, like looking down, looking up, looking
Yeah,
down, looking up.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to go back and be able to watch the NBA if anything spectacular happened,
Right.
and I was all in on what the world.
Shane, what are you looking up?
I was all in on Blackbird.
Yeah, if you're invested like that, I've done the same thing before where I'm like, I'm watching this, but I have to have the Cardinal game on my lap, or I have to have this NFL game.
So
you
full
know, sitting on the
disclosure,
table.
I wouldn't have gone to Apple TV if it wasn't on my Roku, because I don't feel like we have a box with a little remote and we can do the Apple thing, but I don't feel like I didn't want to plug anything in, right? So I'm like, okay, if it's on the TV, cool, I'll watch it, but I'm not taking any unnecessary measures. So the Apple app is on there, obviously, and I'm scrolling through it. And I'm just thinking, like, there were a couple, 2 or 3 shows that I think I want to watch. Like, I'm going to watch The Last Thing He Told Me. And I think I'm going to watch this show called Silo.
Do you fall into a silo?
No. So I just watch, because the cool thing now, like, if you click on it, it just does an auto trailer. Like, these people live underground and they're not sure why. And they're silos. And it's like
they're not sure why they live underground.
Community. Yeah. Like, maybe it's some post-apocalyptic stuff. I'm not sure. Those, like, typically aren't my jam. But it looked like, I'm like,
I'll try it.
Yeah. But I still think I'm going to take the Nestea plunge into Peaky Blinders. It's constantly.
Well, I still have to check out a ton of things. I haven't seen The Wire, which you said.
Do it now. Like, it's easy, and you're not missing a ton of sports. Just go.
Well, and that's what I've been looking into. I actually tried to watch Independence Day yesterday. But I couldn't find it on the Tubi app.
I'm gonna save that for Micah
day.
tomorrow. I need somebody to watch that with.
I don't even know what it's about. I just hear people say it's good.
Apparently, it's an alien takeover.
Will Smith is great in it.
Yeah.
Hitch?
I have some thoughts on Will Smith.
I Am Legend?
That was on my TikTok.
I Am Legend?
Yeah, different version. Not really a legend. It was like Jada Pinkett and Spilling the Beans and Will Smith. And I ended up watching like 3 episodes from the creator. And I was like, I did not want to know any of this about Will Smith. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was kind of depressed.
In Independence Day, it's the first time that you get to see him post Fresh Prince. So you get to see him kind of grow up into.
Why did he want me, Uncle Phil?
To being an actual, an adult actor.
Don't be laughing.
I just love
because I went into
I love the impression.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I got a lot of issues. I'm sorry, I didn't hear a word you said, Shane.
I said that's the first time you get to see him as an adult actor.
Is it I Am Legend where he's in the prison and he's like...
I Am Legend is with the dog and the zombies.
So which one is when he's in prison? Hancock.
I like it.
When he's like, I'm going to take your head
and put it
and shove it up.
I low-key liked Hancock. I like the little kid.
It was a little weird for me to follow along with that first, but, I ended up watching the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, he had a stretch of some bad movies, but I low-key like Hancock. I think it gets a bad rap.
Will Smith's one of my faves.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, he's never been my jam, but I don't dislike him. I'm like, oh, he's in it, I'm not watching. And there are a couple of guys I'm kind of like that with. Like, I really, really struggle with Kiefer Sutherland.
I don't know who that is. I know the name, but...
24, Jack Bauer.
Oh, I know who that is. Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
His dad was not a good person in Hunger Games. Newsflash.
Did you watch 24?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I started watching the first episode, but I'm struggling to understand it. Is it an hour of time?
It's 24 hours in a day.
Right, but so like the first episode is 1 hour, like literally in the show.
It's 1 day.
So it's a day.
Yeah. Dude, that show was so good. Oh.
Okay, I'll go back to it.
Listen,
I was so confused, man.
It's fantastic.
I was so confused when I first turned it on. Because it was like midnight or 12:03 when it first loads
Shane,
up.
You went on 24?
What is this?
Yeah, that's a solid show.
It's pretty good.
Lance, stick around. We'll get to you after the break.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Welcome back. I'm now in a good mood. I started off in a bad mood, you know, because we talked a little bit about the blunders of baseball yesterday. But then I saw a video in Massachusetts of a state trooper pulling people over for cutting off traffic during rush hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is what I needed today. That video right there. So I'm back in a good mood.
Yeah, that's a man after my own heart. That's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. People getting out of the slow lane or the whatever to go fast, then cut people off to get back into where they want to go. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why people let those guys back in. Now, in your video that you shared, they didn't let him in. He forced his way in.
And then the cop basically stepped out into the road.
How about the stones by the officer to just kind of, well, he's going to have to run. He's basically saying this dude's going to have to run me over.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because my vehicle's on the shoulder, as in I'm the state trooper. My vehicle's on the shoulder. Everybody else is stuck in traffic in 2 lanes. Where are you going? The only place you have to go is to the exit ramp so you can get a ticket.
Willie Fritz, right? 2 lane.
Mm-hmm. I was just a huge fan. Who do you want to start with here? Because we were on the back end of shows.
Let's go to Jacksonville, Floridian Lance.
We'll go to line 1 first and talk about Lenifer Gardner, I think is how that was initially put in, and then I think Shane.
Well, there's a lot of L's and J's and stuff in there.
What's up, Lance?
Lance, good morning, man. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. I'm pretty good. Hey, I would be doing better, DB. I need you to answer my text, man. That was some real life question I asked you.
I don't even remember you texting me.
Yeah, you always.
Did we not talk about your new job, which, by the way, congratulations again.
Oh, congrats, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Yes, you did. But then I sent you another text.
Oh, you know what? I listened. This is still, as you can't see it. This was still orange. I never even opened this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was stuff for some life stuff, man, about our kids. And
yeah, I'll just tell you the answer to that question is they're not bothered at all.
Okay.
But I did worry about that. Right? He's talking about coaching his own kids.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that, Lance?
Yeah, or teaching. Yeah, teaching. Well, it's more teaching than coaching. Right now.
So that's that's going to be his school that you got the job.
Say that again.
That's the school they're going to where you got the job.
Yes. They already attend, and now I'll be full time. I was subbing last year,
teaching
so now
history.
I'll be full time with them. I'm sorry, what?
Teaching history, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
You get to corrupt all sorts of little kiddies.
Hey, exactly. They already. There's a couple people that see me go blue. That see me with Michigan stuff on. So this morning, unfortunately, I thought of you getting off the exit on Harrison. There was a pretty sweet. It was a navy blue truck, and his license plate said MAZNBLU. Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
quite a few Michigan.
So do you know what I was just getting ready to say? That's like the 8th or 9th vehicle that I've seen that is all in on Michigan. But that's the first time I've seen it.
They started last year.
That's the first time I've seen this guy.
Yeah, but I've seen people with stickers, and I'm like, dang, where did Michigan fans come from?
Harbaugh started winning, and all of a sudden it was cool to like him again.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Started winning.
Where all the Chiefs
hey, listen, 2 years ago, you guys were trying to fire him after the pandemic. Now he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean,
no, well, I was always on him, but then he got kind of stale. He started to flatline. Like, hey, man, you need to pick it up. And they lit that fire up under him, and look what happened. He wasn't going to fire those old coaches, Don Brown and those guys.
Yeah, his life changed when he fired Don Brown, though.
Well, yeah. Well, who did that? That was because the AD told him, like, no, you're not keeping this guy. It's either you or him. What are you going to do?
I'm just telling you.
Like, I'll make it be me.
We were at the stadium, and Greg Sharp, bless his heart, like started the I'll never forget, because he started the pregame show, which I'm usually supposed to do, but I didn't get there until in the morning, so I was probably 4 or 5 minutes behind in starting the show. I literally got off the private plane, jogged to the stadium, got there to do the broadcast. And so Sharpie started it. And
was this the Blizzard game?
Well, it rained and snow. Yeah. So Greg was out in the hallway, and he bumped into Ward Manuel. And and then he just ended up sitting next to our booth. Like, he's through the glass, but we can see him. His presence is one of intimidation. He doesn't look like the warm, fuzzy, hey, come say hi. He looks like a guy that is not playing around. And I could see him redoing Harbaugh's salary after the shenanigans, but then giving his money back after he earned his key. Like, he strikes me as exactly as the guy that handled that contract situation the way he did.
Well, and also look how he handled Harbaugh trying to flirt with these teams. Hey, man, he didn't flinch for none of that BS.
No.
He's like, hey, man, I don't care what you do. I'm good. You need to figure it out.
Yeah, well, you're going to have that same situation with Juwan Howard. So brace yourself, because I can see that one coming.
Yeah. Juwan, I think, is a little bit more humble in areas than Harbaugh, though.
Well, I don't know.
You don't think so? In areas? We'll see, man. Why? Because you think his son is gone and he
just doesn't seem to. He acts like a nonconformist.
There's something there, man. I'm with you on that. There is something there,
and the culture doesn't seem to be good. Like, that program fell off.
I'm a realist, man. I like them and everything, but there's some things. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, some things, it's like, dude, you didn't even act like that as a player.
Yeah.
And it's like, so what's going on? So I don't know. Hey, maybe
your best player leaves to go to Kansas. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Hey, the Victor guy, women, like, what is the deal? Like, why are we waiting till 4 or 5 games in the summer league to watch this kid play? Like,
okay,
get in the game. Like, what are we doing here?
I knew he didn't, because I would have seen him. He plays tonight. I think he's going to play tonight.
Right, yeah. No, it's Friday. No, he doesn't play till Friday.
Friday? Okay. Well, what is today?
So that's what I'm saying.
Thursday.
Oh, shoot. I'm tripping.
Okay. Hey, my days are messed up too, DB. I'm like, man, what's going on? But I'm like, y'all knew he was the number 1 pick back in whenever, you knew he was the number 1 pick forever. Right. And then once you got him, once you won the lottery, like, what are we waiting on even more? Like, get out. Let's go.
So a lot of these guys, these top guys are going to crack the starting line. Like, Brandon Miller's only going to play probably a couple more games. They're about to shut him down.
Yeah, but at least he played.
Yeah,
at least you got to see him game 1.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Put up 18. Yeah, I watched him out there. He didn't look too bad.
Were you going to say something about Jennifer Garner?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, Jennifer. I said, DB act like he don't know these people. Jennifer Garner looks better than Jennifer Aniston, I'll tell you that.
Wait, what?
I know you're a Jennifer Aniston.
Wait, who looks better than who?
Jennifer Garner.
Looks better than Jennifer Aniston? Stop it.
Yeah. Come on, man. She looks better. I'm not saying it's not a lot.
Listen.
They're both pretty average.
No.
They're both pretty average. She probably got 1 point above her. He still has a point above her, though.
Okay.
Oh, man. Ben Affleck had an upgrade from her.
Okay. Like, you say some ridiculous things, but that's like
Andrew,
that's up there.
Andrew, are you a Jennifer Aniston guy? Is she top of the list? Prime.
I was 12.
Number 10, a 10. You think she's a 12?
I was 12.
I've grown. She's aged a lick.
I've kind of grown out of that. She's good looking, but I've kind of grown out of that.
No,
she's aged.
Okay, good.
She's aged.
Yeah, I've kind of grown out of that. Well, I mean, we get older. Like, I don't like Jada Pinkett Smith anymore. Like, I get older.
I don't like her anymore either. Yeah, now she was a 10 in the 90s, but man, you got to know her in these last 10 years, 15 years. It's like, ooh.
Man, she's trending on my TikTok. I'm mortified.
Hey, what about now baseball? My wife, so you talk about looks and all this. So my wife got me watching baseball.
She's
more
smart.
than I watched.
Always has
in the last couple of years. Now listen, she just brought you up too. She said, DB will always be in my good graces because at a point in time where I wasn't doing well, you came and spoke to her at a wedding.
Yeah.
Where nobody else did. So you're always in her good graces.
She's a stud.
She loves Ellie De La Cruz. I like him. He's bringing excitement. Hey, I knew DB wasn't going to like it.
There we go.
He killed the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, man. Hey, excitement. He's bringing excitement. She said he looks like a 90s player, an old 90s, like he's just bringing things, interest to the game.
I'm still on this Jennifer Garner versus.
I'm glad her maturity keeps you spry, Lance. I appreciate that.
All right,
see you, man.
We'll be back. Ramon, stay right there.
It's not even close.
What a circus.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
This seems like a little Black Mirror type music.
I kind of like this. Shane, why don't we use this music more?
Oh,
we
yeah,
do use that part.
we use
so
this part.
I must
Yeah.
never listen to the beginning. Shane, do you let the whole thing play or what?
I changed it.
Shane's over there tickling the ivories.
I changed it.
It used to start where
Zoe
you
now,
knew.
or-
No. I feel like I haven't seen that girl in a couple of. I only see her in flashes.
Made her corn dogs.
I know, but her and her mom, they're always doing. They're gone a lot.
They're in
So
cahoots.
I kind of.
They're in good.
1,000%. I'm like, no, Zoe, no. But anyway, she she's really going through this phase where when her siblings leave, she's like straight on the struggle bus. But I'm going to always be by myself. And it's like,
Why does it sound like she's from a distance?
dude, she will FaceTime those three for
Hours.
oh, and it's weird. Like the dynamic as a parent is, am I putting pressure on the rest of my kiddos by allowing this to happen, or is it cute because as a parent, you always want your kiddos to be close. You know, it's. I know I'm asking the guy that has like 16.
Well, it kind of gives them some.
And another guy that has kids is talking to me. So
I know. Another guy that is a kid.
Yeah. There he is,
Doesn't
Ellie.
Doesn't it kind of give them some parental
I'm all about boundaries, Shane, as we talked about yesterday, which, by the way, was a fantastic discussion. I had my guy in Kansas City. He's like, you know that thing that you were talking about with like the secret timer as a parent, the hidden timer as a parent? He goes, that's been me for X amount of time, and I've never known what it is until you processed through it yesterday. He goes, I think that's my secret superpower at work, is the clock or the sense of urgency that I have that isn't spoken out loud, right? Because, and not to rehash yesterday, I mean, you go back and listen. You and your mom started it, and
it's just about discipline
and expectations and having boundaries
was woven into recruiting and team play and things like that.
Yeah, and even my buddy like DJ, you know, he's like, caught that segment. He goes, that was, and he coaches like real life crucial situations, right? So he's every now and again, like he'll put me on the dry erase board and like we'll talk about life and problem solving. He has this thing. It's an axis, or it's like an X and a Y.
Not the alleys, the axis.
It's like an X and a Y, right? So running vertically is aggressive and passive. Running horizontally is facts, feelings. And then you
put a dot.
Yeah, you plot it like Y equals MX plus B. And then those significant others around you. You plot them and then see how far it is that you have to go to that dot, because you know it's listen, understand, and then act accordingly, right? There's kind of this sequence, and it's funny too because it's basically the whole E plus R equals O, right? What do I want? It's basically how I problem solve real time. Like it's the only reason I don't truly keep from losing my mind. It doesn't matter if I'm coaching or I'm parenting or, you know, dealing with people at work or whatever. Like, what's the outcome,
right?
And what's other people's perspective? And I try to do that without, and still have some conviction, right? But so we were talking about that segment yesterday and just kind of what it birthed, and it was just cool because, you know, I say a lot of things sometimes real time I don't really plan on saying, right? Like I wasn't gonna tell. It's not like I got up and I said, you know what? I'm gonna talk about this conversation on the way to the airport. But we almost never get like, because it's always about something else, right? Or like, and this was just kind of free flowing, you know, and I didn't know how to process, you know, because I was talking about like I put him on this clock that he's not even aware of, right? It's my sense of urgency. It's my vision. It's how I feel, and it's like,
well, it's because that's how you would do it.
Well, not so much. It's yes and no, right? Not necessarily how I would do it, but more what I think would be best. Because I'm not
I think those are
right
the same though.
But they're not, because, well, how many times can you give advice but you can't follow it?
That happens.
So that's the difference, right? Because it's easier when it's about someone else.
Oh, it's a lot easier
than the practical application for
I get what you're saying,
so,
because
so that's why I say that's why I say,
if you tell like somebody like, hey, this is how you should handle this girl situation, but then you're
right,
put in that situation and you're like, I don't really know if I would take my own advice.
We've been having all these conversations about handling things as a parent and recruiting and this, that, and I'm like, you know, whatever. Until it's, if it was Michael Decker or Calvin Strong or Harrison Phillips or Easton's, I can talk about it all day long, right? What's going on with Xavier Watts versus Xavier? When it's your own, it's different. And that doesn't mean you can't seek counsel from people that haven't been through similar situations, because sometimes a fresh set of eyes on things is important. which is why I never, ever, even if I don't like you, right, internally, and those people are few and far between, but even if I don't like you, I guarantee you there's something I can learn from you in a practical application sense. I know it. I know it. And the low-hanging, easy fruit example is, oh, yeah, you know, these guys in the media that have written some negative things about, you know, me, the team, something in the past. Some of those guys are good associates. Now, we're probably not friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we're associates because I think people throw friends around too loosely. I don't have a ton of friends, right? I have people that I like. I don't have a ton of people that I confide in, right? Or that I would trust with sensitive information. So, but that doesn't mean I can't learn from you. You know what I mean? So it's like, and like plotting those things on a map. And again, there's literature out there, but just try it sometime. The X and the Y axis. Okay. Aggressive is at the top. Passive is at the bottom. That is your vertical axis. Your horizontal axis is
fact and feeling.
Fact, feeling. Plot it, chart it. And then act accordingly, right? How far do I have to go? What am I willing to do? And I think that's really the thing, you know, because people that combat want to win, right? Like that's at the end of the exchange. People that want to address conflict want a resolution. In my opinion, that's teaching and coaching, right? Like it just is, because you don't want to win. You, as a coach, and listen, 888-638-4876, right? I'm not trying to speak for all coaches, but I will say if coaches just want to not, and I'm not talking about the outcome in terms of the wins and loss column. I'm talking about dominate and control the people that they coach. If you just want to win, if you just want to always be right, if that's the main objective in terms of how you deliver and administer skills and training and you're not willing to receive anything else, those people don't have long-term success. They just don't, because you can't build the relationship model. Right. So, and I think that's the same thing as being in the classroom. I think that's the same thing as being on the job. I think that's the same thing as being in relationships. And so sometimes I think when people listen or whatever to kind of what we're doing, they're like, it sounds easy, or, oh, I can't believe you just said that. But it's really, it's not that I can control my emotions better than anyone else, because Lord knows I have super bad stretches, right? But I think the key is like, I want help. I don't always know how to go about asking. I'm the worst at asking for it.
Most men are.
But I do want to get better. So I think if people, it's like Coach Rule, right? Just to land the plane. What does he always say about, hey, you know, like,
he's not about just winning.
Or the whole lifelong learner thing, or how such, you know, who's another good example? Coach Mack. Taking what didn't go well a couple of years ago in some of the situations in the growth. I saw Coach Booth at I'm not going to put her out there. We were.
You saw her.
Yeah, right. We were out. She was with her daughter, and we were just kind of joking in passing about like dealing with like being in the public and trying to get in and get out. She had a couple of great one-liners, and she'd say, oh, you know, a couple of years ago, that wouldn't have been me. And I'm just like, even somebody that's at like the top of their profession still is evolving in how they deal with their situational awareness, right? But it's just weird how the practical application of that real time is not that easy.
Well, figuring out that secret hidden timer like you're talking about, there's no answer for it.
How about if other people don't know it and you're trying to communicate it to them, and you think they're crazy and they're just trying to give you perspective?
And you know why you think they're crazy?
Because you're not on that clock.
Your personality says That's why. We'll talk to Mitch Sherman next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute.
There's Burkhead on first down, reverse, Kenny Bell with Taylor Martinez out there on the edge with him. Bell runs right past his quarterback down the sideline. Kenny Bell is going to take it all the way for a Nebraska touchdown, 82-yard touchdown run for the freshman.
Watch the big fellas in Nebraska. Hardrick, the left tackle, Kudo, the center. Look at them get down the field and both tee off, and this was one of the real challenges for Jerry Keel. He said, listen, my guys, even when in leverage situations, taking the right angle.
Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Hey, welcome back. Top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the morning. Live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club alongside Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. We are happy to have you with us and happy to be joined by Mitch Sherman via StreamYard. If you check that out, whether you are live on YouTube, you can catch that on Hurrdat Sports or Hail Varsity Radio. You can find us live on Twitter, and you can see Mitch Sherman there as well. Mitch, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Mitch, you got a lot of power. You're like, can I really make this guy's day? He's kind of weird. Yeah, Mitch, you make my day. It's like I look forward to, Shane, we build the lineup and the schedule the day before. It's like, yes, we're on the every other week of the Mitch Sherman train. And you're probably like, I don't know why this guy helps me.
I'm glad I'm catching you guys this week, because next week I'm going to be nowhere to be found.
So that appears to be a thing in July, right? Like,
got to do it.
How did you pick it? So for me, this one's easy, right? Because I kind of built it around the sports calendar in our household, and the first week of July is kind of a soft time for football. It's just getting started again for AAU basketball. It's natural, right? How does the Sherman household, recruiting guys, it's the dead period. Like, how does the Sherman household deal with the calendar?
I mean, we really got about 2.5 weeks between this post 4th of July. This is really the end, the youth baseball thing. It could have been last weekend. It could have been this weekend for us. The way it broke down, it was last weekend. And then we've got a couple weeks here before I'm headed off to Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Days. And things really start getting going before that, because, there's other media days around the country that need to be tuned into and aware of what's happening. And this is just it. It's like there's a couple weeks in July, and really, as far as the summer goes, that's it. If you're gonna escape, then now's the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. The calendar in July, for some people, it's pretty fluid, because there are these coaches, and I was just looking at some of the top 10 coaches they ranked the Big Ten coaches yesterday. I think it was CBS, and it's almost like, Mitch, how do you keep from feeling like you're getting behind if you kind of try to take that time versus recharging to stay on top of it so you can be fresh for the long haul?
Well, I mean, there's no choice. You got to take a little bit of time, or, I mean, I'm going to feel like I'm at the end of the season when August comes around or July 30th comes around, and all of a sudden I'm back in Lincoln, looking at this start of training camp, which is, for everybody, including us, much less so than the players and coaches, but that whole thing, that August is a grind, man. By the time you get past August 20th and the first game is around the corner, it feels like, the storylines in camp are starting to get a little bit stale. And what are the questions that you ask when the team's been practicing for a month and there's really no scrimmages to watch, or certainly no game action, especially with a first-year coaching staff where it's been 9 months now of the same kind of conversations, the same topics, just kind of recycled. It's got to stay fresh, and if you're gonna have that content be fresh, man, the people who are producing it better be the same way.
We're talking to Mitch Sherman.
July's important. I got to recharge, man.
Well, it's interesting. I asked Coach Poole, this was probably, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, maybe. And I said, got to be honest, like, shoot me straight. Which job is more difficult, the NFL or college? And he's had much less success in the NFL than he has college, so I thought for sure he'd say the NFL. He says, without a question, it's college. You're working 11 and a half months out of the year. Hyperbole or heightened sense of awareness?
No, that's his reality. And I talked to him about that in Houston when I was down there for the satellite camp the first week of June. June 6th was the camp at high school out there on the northeast side of Houston, C.E. King High School. And, he said that Trev Alberts has been pushing him, encouraging him to get some time off. But you go from winter stuff and recruiting into spring practice, into this roster management period, into getting ready for camps, and huge period for recruiting, as we've seen now from the end of May into the very beginning of July, end of June, beginning of July. I mean, there's still things that are happening in July, just as a result of having so many guys on campus in June in all of the camps. It doesn't just shut down when the dead period starts. There's still going to be potentially commitments. We saw one already this month in July. So which Corey Barney, the receiver from Miami. So yeah, he's got, the boss wants him to take a rest, but when do you do it? So I know I talked to him a little bit about his plans. He's got some things back in Texas this month, some THSCA stuff that he's going to attend just because he wants to be seen there. And the Texas college coaches are there. Then Matt Rule wants to be there, at least him, maybe some of his staff. And he's going to get away to their spot in New Jersey for a little bit of time before, you have to get back. You can't just come back on like the 25th or 26th. I mean, Big Ten Media Days for Nebraska is the 27th in Indy. And I think they're looking at the 30th for the start of camp. And then on the 26th again, you've got more opportunity for official visits, as you know. The last week of July, again, is a period for kids to come on campus. So he's got a short window here, and I think he intends to make the most of it and also recharge.
We're talking to Mitch Sherman, Nebraska and college football writer for The Athletic, at Mitch Sherman on Twitter. Mitch, let's stay there. Your most recent column on The Athletic, you created a five group list around the 2024 class, breaking down what's to come at Nebraska in the years ahead. And I'm curious, which group grabbed your attention the most? The big wins, the right fits, the under-recruited, the up-and-comers, or the camp connections?
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. These are kind of arbitrary. I mean, there's several players that you could put in any of these categories. Like some of them were fit 3 or 4, and I moved them around so I had equal numbers or close to equal numbers in all of the categories. So I will say either the big wins speak for themselves, and not everything was traditional there. Like I put Landon Davidson in that category just because Nebraska went head-to-head with Colorado for a guy in his backyard. And I think he's under the radar also, and he would fit in that category. But the guys to me, okay, I'm just going to go with the right fits. I'm looking at that, and there's a ton of intrigue for me in that category because these are players, some of them, who I think should be getting more attention than what they did. Like Carlon Jones should be getting more attention than he did as a recruit. And he was offered by TCU, which was playing for the national championship last season, and Oklahoma State and several others. But, I think he should have been even a bigger target of schools in Texas. I mean, Isaiah McMorris, ton of big time interest. But, you watch him on the field, you see that he runs a 10-600, and it's like, I mean, this guy could definitely have been a slot receiver in the SEC. I mean, Oklahoma wanted him, so there you go. That's the SEC right there when he starts college. I'm intrigued with him. I'm intrigued with Ian Flint because of just how much he seemed to love Nebraska. And he's one of those tight ends. There's 3 tight ends in this 2024 class right now, or 3 guys who are categorized that way. Not that they're all going to play that position. And they all do different things, and I have Keelan Smith in this group too. And, he's a tight end like Janiron Bonner, who looks like a receiver, could play a receiver, has the athleticism to do that, but could also play tight end. Oh, and they might move him into like this kind of flex back, H-back, fullback role that we saw Bonner working out of in the spring game. So that to me is why he's such a great fit for Nebraska. And to get back to Flint, like he's a good fit because of all the intangibles that he appears to bring, and that he's one of those traditional tight ends who can line up and really help you in a traditional run game. So that category is just full of guys who I think really fit what Nebraska wants to do well. Like in the case of Jones, the defensive lineman, he's going to fit well with what Terrence Knighton wants to do up front with that defensive line that he's going to build. And McMorris obviously fits well as a versatile piece who can play a number of spots, all the receiver positions, and I think can really be a playmaker for Nebraska. no matter where he lines up. But if it's in the slot, which seems to fit him from the size standpoint, he's going to get the ball in so many different ways in that rural Satterfield offense.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. This is just like real live radio at its finest, because I think about, like you say, McMorris, obviously a guy that we've defended for years, right? More than just at the high school level. So I pit it against what historically I think I've seen versus what maybe the extrapolation is. And I say it like this, and I'll use McMorris as an example, because you brought up Ian Flint too. And I look at his body type, and it's interesting because it's not kind of like the others, right? It doesn't quite look like Ingerson. It doesn't quite look like Burt. It certainly doesn't look like Carter. It's not a Borkature. Like, how much, Mitch, are we going to have to get away from our traditional thinking of this guy is this, he counts towards these numbers versus this is going to be a staff that's going to recruit guys and put them where they can best help the team, and you just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And listen, I only asked that, Mitch, because remember when Bo got in trouble? I think it was he would take these guys like Afalava and Thomas Brown, and we couldn't really figure out where they were going to play. We just had to trust that he was going to develop them. Coach Rule has the benefit of the doubt because he's been a notorious developer. Do we just need to relax on the outside?
Yeah. Hey, 14 of the 23 so far are right now coming out of high school. Defensive backs, wide receivers, or tight ends. Way over half of the class. And that's because those are the players, I think, who have the most versatility, the most ability to shift and shape to what this staff wants them to do. And I look at it, and as I was breaking this down, I thought, okay, what's left out there? And I was going to have a category of what Nebraska still needs in this class. And, I'll probably just talk about that another time, write another story on that. This one was long. Yeah.
Good. I'm just going to bag that. I'll come back to
well, this one was long enough as it was, just as who were in this class. But as I thought about that, I thought, okay, well, there's only one linebacker, one traditional linebacker, one guy who plays linebacker right now, and Willis McGahee the fourth. But hey, Braylon Prude could be a linebacker. And there are others in this class when you look at those DBs. Maybe Rick's
a couple of those DBs that are going to move.
Yeah, Callan Barda. Maybe he's a linebacker. I don't know. There's any number of those players who can move up a level or down a level in the defense and fill a spot. You already saw Nebraska do that in these first few months with John Bullock. And I wrote about John and Alex Bullock last week and just everything that they've experienced right now. And I think those two guys represent, maybe on an individual level, just their story in the 7 months that Matt Rule has been here. It's as indicative of as anything, their individual story of the work that he's done. And I'm talking about Bullock is no longer a walk-on, but two former walk-ons, one current walk-on and one former walk-on, one who was awarded a scholarship just a couple of months ago, being the poster boys for what this staff can do. And there's going to be a lot of that also with these recruits. So it's not like they only have one linebacker, so they better go out and find another linebacker or two in the spots that are left in this recruiting class. No, because you don't know where those guys are going to play. I mean, there's a few, yes, like Camden Cook. I know where he's going to play. Daniel Kalen, I know where he's going to play. But even the linemen, potentially some of them, not all, but some could maybe move back and forth. Where Ashton Murphy, I mean, he was looked at as an offensive lineman, plays offensive line and defensive line at Elkhorn South. It looks like maybe he'll be a defensive lineman at Nebraska. It doesn't have to be that way. So it's not just those, it's not just the wide receivers, tight ends, and defensive backs who have versatility and can play a different position than what they're listed at when they get to Lincoln. It's some of the linemen. It's players all, even as they start to recruit more linebackers, there's guys who could fit into that jack role, which is kind of like a linebacker who's a semi defensive linemen. So all over the field, I think these guys, they look for the players to put into their recruiting classes who have that kind of versatility and can fill multiple roles, and they can decide where they fit after they get them on campus and start working.
I go back to something that Tony White said to me multiple times, and even on day one, as he was missing a flight from California, so he just dropped into Omaha, Mitch. He said 3 things that you got to be able to do in his defense. Non-negotiables. You have to be able to tackle. You have to be willing to be physical, and you have to have football IQ. He didn't talk about anything else. So when I look, and I'm not trying to like give false hope, but I was in a stretch where Ernie Beeler came from third level to second level. Lorenzo Brinkley, third level to second level. Troy Dumas, safety to linebacker. Jamel Williams, safety to linebacker. Jay Foreman, offense to defense. I've seen Ed Stewart. Ed Stewart was a safety. He won the Butkus at linebacker. So all I can think about in my head is, oh my goodness, if we can get back on this train where we can forecast and develop moving up a level, like that's where the game is played in 2023, even more than 95, right? There weren't a ton of FSUs and Floridas and Miamis with spread. Everybody is now. But if they can somehow get in the development game where they know what they want the end game to look like, I don't think we can pay much attention to who they're taking at what position at all.
It is funny how history is repeating itself in that way, and that's how Nebraska got fast defensively, was by taking safeties and turning them into linebackers, and taking outside linebackers and turning them into defensive ends. And you have the same players and the same kind of talent and personnel on the team.
Wiggert was a tight end at one point.
And I forgot that Jay Foreman played offense, so thank you for reminding me
He was
of that.
a hooper and a great running back. He just felt like there were too many running backs at Nebraska, so he played defense.
I mean, I think the thing you need to look at is it's not the same. I mean, the game is different now than it was 30 years ago or 28 years ago. And then there's also the Big Ten element to this, and how is that going to work in the Big Ten? Because generally, you take a safety and you put him in linebacker. You take a linebacker and you put him on the line of scrimmage. You move a guy from one side of the ball to the other. You're not necessarily getting bigger. You're kind of getting smaller and faster. And then the responsibility falls to those guys on the strength staff to make sure that they've got enough weight on the players who move a level. Like Bullock, for instance, is at like 220 right now, which is fine for him as a linebacker, but he's not a big linebacker. And in talking to Tony White about John Bullock, they said they identified him quickly, even before they saw him in person on the practice field. Just in looking at tape and watching what he was doing in winter drills, they identified him very quickly as a guy who just, for whatever reason, it didn't click in the secondary. Not that he couldn't have done it, but they thought there was something more that they could get out of him by moving him. And then when they put him at linebacker, he played even faster at linebacker than he did in the secondary, because instinctively that's who he was as a football player. So that's great. And I think there's examples of that. There were examples of that in your day with the guys that you mentioned, and there are examples of that now.
Luke Gifford, Isaac Gifford. Yeah, there's several.
And these are the guys that they're looking to recruit, guys who they feel like have the instincts maybe to play a position, not just the position that they're at now, but to play a position that's different from what they're at now, and the position that they can grow into. We'll see. We'll see how all of that works in the Big Ten. Yeah, the Big Ten. And the Big Ten's changing too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Mitch. Like, who is outside of Minnesota, Illinois, and Iowa, and Iowa fans are still mad at the way that they play. Like, who's still traditionally the plotting Big Ten? Even Michigan for as physical as they are, can get in 2x2s and 3x1s and spread.
They can also, of course, they can also pound, and that's why they've been in the college football playoff the last couple of years, because they can have the best offensive line in the country, and they can make your safety, who turned into a linebacker, they can make him a pretty big mismatch when their agile offensive lineman gets out on that guy and just takes him out of the play. So you're going to have problems dealing with that no matter who you are defensively when you go against Michigan in that offensive line and the kind of things that they're building there. But Ohio State's the same way, Penn State's the same way, and then you have the traditional teams who are always big, like Minnesota and Iowa. Wisconsin's changing; they're evolving. With Bielema, Illinois is going to be big and physical, so it's still there. It's different now, but it's still there.
He concerns me quite a bit, Mitch. He seems like the ultimate
from a confidence level.
He seems like the ultimate chess checkers coach.
Mm-hmm.
He just does. Is that too much credit?
No, I think he's proven it. At least in the Big Ten. I think he's just ideally suited for the Big Ten. It's not just because you have that ability to play matchups and think on a second and third level in this league. It fits his football personality. I think everything that he's asked to do at Illinois is kind of just like the next step in evolving from what he did at Wisconsin. And that doesn't mean that you can take that to the SEC and just say, all right, now we're going to play the same game and match up. And I think that's why he didn't have the same kind of success at Arkansas. But we'll see. Going to the SEC is one thing, and then it's another. If you're Bielema, okay, the Big Ten's changing. You have UCLA and USC coming in. What are they going to add? When we've seen conferences expand before, it's the schools that are coming in that have to adjust to the level of play in the conference, not necessarily the schools that are existing in the conference that have to adjust to the schools that are coming in. And I'm going to be real interested to see how that works with especially USC, because they play a distinct, specific style of football with great athletes. And is the Big Ten going to have to adjust to them, or are they going to have to adjust to the Big Ten? Probably some of both. But Bielema is a guy.
Here's Mitch Frost during his segment.
Yeah, right. Bielema is a guy who, he's at home. He's very comfortable within these battles in this league.
Mitch, we appreciate your time this morning. Amazing. Thanks so much. We'll talk again in a couple of weeks.
All right. Good to talk to you guys. Thanks
Mitch.
Somebody else that intrigues me too in the Big Ten is one of Bielema's own and now counterpart, Ryan Walters.
Oh, yeah.
The way they've jumped up in the 24 recruiting class, his first year as a head
volume,
coach.
But I get it. Take a look at those CBS rankings. He was last because he was a newbie.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be sleeping on this guy.
Interesting.
We'll take a break.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes.
There's Burkett on. There's Burkett on first down. Reverse.
Watch the big fellas in Nebraska. Hurrdat, the left tackle. Hurrdat, the center. Look at them get down the field and both tee off. And this was one of the real challenges for Jerry Kill. He said, listen, my guys, even when in leverage situations, taking the right aim.
82-yard touchdown run with a freshman.
Watch the big fella.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute.
With a freshman. With a freshman.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Now, the Storm Chasers may be on the road this week, but they'll be back in action July 14th through July 23rd as they take on St. Paul and Indianapolis in those dates. Those are all home games, so get your tickets. Check out the Storm Chasers promotional nights. There is Firework Friday, which is what it kicks off, which Indianapolis, is that the Reds? Indianapolis?
Yeah, Redbird. No. Yes.
They're the
yes,
Red
the
AAA?
affiliate. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
And then St. Paul is the Twins, if I'm correct. And they recently moved from the American.
So the whole not consolidation, just the, what's the word we want to use? Efficiency in terms of who can have cities and what Major League Baseball is doing with its affiliates and AAA baseball over the last 3 years since the pandemic.
The Major League Baseball.
Of course, Coach Osborne, which, by the way, do you think he is heated over the payouts from Crazy? Is it? I don't want to say Crazy Horse. What's the one in Lincoln?
Warhorse.
Warhorse.
This is a big deal.
That is so bad. But wasn't it like 15 mil?
No, I saw somebody win 15K. Oh, you're talking about
totals.
I don't know if it's 15, but you're probably on the right track.
You think he's like, what is going on?
Yeah, he's. I don't know. He's not going to be happy when football season rolls around.
And they're like going to be the poster child.
Mm-hmm.
How about in the capital city, as we kind of get away from baseball? But I just was tying everything together, kind of like when you spatchcock a chicken and you want to put the legs back.
You spatch what?
You spatchcock a chicken, right?
It was just one lick
cut
on
down
an
the
ankle.
breastbone, you pull it out, you crack the breastplate, you take the little 2 bones out of the top.
Do you ever pull the wishbone out and then
every
do
single
that with
time.
like Zoe?
No,
you don't ever do the wishbone.
Although she has become like when it's just me, like she has become my little helper,
a sous chef.
She smashes and patties my burgers. She just throws the chicken in the air because you know how small her hands are. She watches me blow in the rubber gloves, so she thinks she needs to, and she goes. I was like, Bear, like your hands are small enough. Like you could just put your hands in the gloves. She's like little Betty Crocker.
Love that.
Love that. Yeah. So she likes to help out. I put her to bed last night, and she said, "Now, are you going to bed too?"
You're like, yeah, because I get sleep all the time.
Actually, no. I feel terrible because I always say yes, but she just wants to make sure I'm in the house, right? And so I'm like, yeah. And she's like, no getting up? And I was like, no. She's like, can I have my flashlight? I was like, you checking on me?
No, go to bed.
Dude, I can't wait, man. You get the blessing to have kiddos. I can't wait to see how your world changes because Mr. Principal, you're gonna be compromised, and I'm gonna be pumped.
Yeah, you're just gonna be laughing in the corner.
Well, did you just listen to me off air?
Yeah.
So
calling kids,
I need that. And they're probably like,
you can just talk to Shane.
No, it's not the same because he's not as
kid-like.
He's not as friendly.
Oh,
so it's funny to listen to them answer the phone. They're like, "Hello," like because they know. Short story long. I called a couple of our guys that are in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I called CJ Mitchell and was talking to Jaden Jackson. I asked Eli how he's doing from Millard North. Neil Mosser had jokes. Like I just called those guys, and I'm sure they're like, "Caleb, your dad is an idiot." But what did I tell you? Like. We're off this week for football. We got down to I can't function without being around young people. So I call them over break and see how we're doing.
That's okay.
I made the most of my 4 minutes.
That's okay.
But they're good.
You call kids, I call my family.
Yeah, they're seeing a lot of high-end talent. How about like Rob Doster's there, Jeff Goodman's there. Like there are some thoroughbreds at Adidas Gauntlet in Rock Hill. They're like we're tweeting live. Some studs.
Is that where Sauter is right now too?
Yeah, it's not as he was on the flight. This dude. It's not as deep as the EYBL Nike, but high end talent. It's right there. They take a backseat to nobody.
Yeah, I was watching some of those clips and impressive to say the least. Out of high school kids,
that's big time.
Yeah, high school kids nowadays though. Don't look like high school kids, like the really good ones,
especially with reclass, right? Like you like some of those guys will be 19 here in a second. So
in no time.
Oh yeah. Well, that's there are a couple guys in this recruiting class that will be 19 in just a few short weeks. 19.
Yeah, you know what that is?
Almost a full 2 years older than some of these other guys.
That is a sophomore in college sometimes.
Was for me.
That's a bunch of BS.
Gosh, what? Well, freshman year, back in a freshman year of college.
So it happens. It happens.
It's different. It's different.
Listen,
times are changing.
Again, at the end of the day, I think North Carolina basketball just got a reclass. I'm not sure how I feel about reclasses. I kind of get it. And ETG, Caleb's basketball team has 2 reclasses. And they're flourishing. Bellevue West has a couple football guys. I don't know if you call them reclass as much as homeschooled and then whatever. But if you're in the desired outcome is to go to school for free.
You stay in high school a little bit longer.
If it means projecting what you're going to be in like 2 years, I don't know, right? Because some guys don't have as much room for growth as others.
Right. Let's go to the phone, Shane, and get to Ramon before we take another break. Ramon, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Razor Ramon. What's up, buddy?
I am on to talk about Black Mirror Series 6.
Hey, listen.
Which is another way of saying Season 6.
So my buddy Dookie Clint asked, he texted me at like 7-something when the show started. He goes, what about Black Mirror? Because I obviously he was listening. He's a total P1, good dude. We were talking about shows. He's all in on Black Mirror. He said, I got to read you this, Ramon.
In on Black Mirror.
No, I got to ask Ramon because you're super measured. He said to me this morning, it's kind of crazy. First episode. So he's going way back to the beginning. So turn your thinking cap on, Ramon. He said, first episode will make or break you.
Yeah, that's the one. Is that the video game one, Ramon?
I haven't seen it, Andrew.
But I didn't give anything away by saying the video game one.
By the way,
no, it's not. It's not about it's about a prime minister.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm with you now. Yep, I know.
Jeez, Rolodex, you're in season 6, and you know what that one was?
Yeah, this one will make or break you. Oh, gives me the heebie-jeebies. All right, what do you like about Black Mirror, Ramon?
Well, there may
you know my personality,
right? No, you're gonna find it disturbing for sure, Damon. That's kind of the theme with most of the things I talk about.
For such a nice guy, it's kind of weird.
But there may have been pressure to live up to the previous standards, but our guy Damon Benning said pressure is a privilege.
It is. It absolutely is.
So, and season 6 has 5 episodes, and for me, with a higher budget and a more big name talent and a more generous deadline, the results did not inspire the conversations of previous seasons for me.
That's a good thing.
Ramon,
for me it's not, because we're still talking about episodes from season 1 and 2, and I don't think this one, there's not an ongoing conversation beyond maybe a few days.
Now, are we talking about season 1 and 2 though, because of how disturbing those seasons were just to the eye, because we weren't used to seeing that stuff yet?
I think it's both. I think it was because it was different and unexpected, but still it holds up to this day. Those early seasons.
Okay. Let me ask you something, Ramon, real quick. So did you see Stranger Things?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because I felt like I kind of toughed it out, and then it got really good, and then it got weird. Like I was like, did you like Stranger Things?
I like Stranger Things, but I think Stranger Things is also sort of kid-friendly. It can be. Black Mirror is absolutely not.
That is 100% true. That is.
So what are we giving the whole series, Ramon, with the Moans? Like the whole, like if I start it tomorrow?
The whole series I give 5 out of 5, but season 6 I give
just
3 Moans.
So it went too long.
Okay. Yeah, it just wasn't the same quality as the earlier season.
Okay. Ramon, we appreciate it. I'll have to check out season 6 or series 6.
I'm starting it. Appreciate it, Ramon.
Right. Back in a minute.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Hey, welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. DB, Andrew Rogers, happy to have you with us. 888-638-4876. If you'd like to get involved at any point, that's the phone line. You can send us a message over StreamYard, or rather YouTube. You comment on YouTube, we see it on our StreamYard page. You can also send us a DM or tag us on something on Twitter. We'll get to your notes throughout the show. But at this moment in time, we head to our DMs because we talked to a good friend of ours on a Thursday, as we do every Thursday, and get some betting lines for the weekend. Brian Edwards in the chair. B, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. What's happening?
B, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. I hope y'all had a good 4th.
Hopefully you did too. What'd you do?
Oh, a lot of beach time. A lot of beach
Does not
time.
surprise me, and you're right there. Like, so here's the deal: a guy that lives in an area with you got options, man. It's not like us Midwesterners.
Pass it like Stockton.
How much do you separate between normal days versus okay, I'll be kind of touristy and do what everybody else is doing?
Well, it's getting pretty hot down here, so my beach time is starting. Starting to wane. But I will say that certainly for 4th of July, I got out there quite a bit and enjoyed myself, and back to the grind, and football practice and all that stuff. We got right around the corner here.
Are you guys seeing any shark sightings?
I have not this summer or spring. Now, I have definitely been out there when people start running out of the beach.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there was one time like a year ago that I look back behind me and everybody's like, "Get out of the water! Get out of the water!" And so I backtracked and then I saw a pretty big one. Yeah, so we're in the Emerald Coast is what they call it, and unless it's been storming, it's like the Bahamas. We can see in the water. It's like bright green. And let me tell you, I don't get in there unless it's like that.
So, B, Destin has been a hot spot for sharks lately. That's why I ask.
Yeah. So now I'm about 15, 20 minutes east of Destin, but I mean, it's all the same. I mean, or like 3 people. So I'm like 35 minutes west of Panama City Beach, where three people died in one day, either 2 or 3 Saturdays ago.
Yeah, that was a month ago. Yeah, that was almost a month ago. That was
that was drowning. That wasn't sharks.
Yeah, I know. Because of the this is supposed to be a gambling segment, but you're in my wheelhouse.
Well, you are
here.
gambling when you're going into the ocean.
So the deal,
yes,
baby.
Yes.
So the undertow in the current, people can't gauge it there because it's tricky right in that little lull.
Yeah, but now most areas have lifeguards and a flag within a half mile, and that time it was double red flags, meaning $500 fine if you get in the water, and a lot of times you got a lifeguard blowing the whistle if you get 5 yards out. And I was out there. I wasn't out there much during that time, but I was out there one day after I'd been to the gym. I just went walking out there, and they were blowing the whistle at people if you just are throwing a ball 5 yards out. They're like, get out of the water now. Now the day that Ryan Mallett passed, that was probably 15, 20 minutes west of me. It was not double red flag that day, but he was way out by the second sandbar. So that's a good ways out.
How do you get there?
I haven't really heard many details on it. I just know that the lifeguards, I think, were a good ways away by the time they were alerted and went out there. So, I mean, I'm not saying they were a mile away, but by the time they got out there, unfortunately, that was tragic.
Man, let's talk about the lines this weekend now. Be a lot on UFC 290. You like the main and you like the co-main. We'll start with the main. You are not a fan of the distance here. Why?
Yeah, so look, Rodriguez has had a lot of his fights in early, and we do have a 5-rounder, obviously, for a title fight. Now Rodriguez has he went to the decision with Stevens, but that was a 3-rounder. The 5-rounder with Holloway did go to the decision, but his last 2 have ended inside of 2 rounds. And look, I'm going to go with Volk inside the distance. Now I'm also going, no decision. But I'm also going to go Volk to win inside the distance. But I don't want that to be misconstrued with the fact that I think it's a mismatch. I think Yair will be very competitive in this fight, but I do think at some point, probably in the 3rd to 4th, hopefully, I hope it doesn't go to the 5th. But I just think Volk will get the finish. I know he's 34, but I don't see any signs of aging whatsoever. He's in bounce back mode, only 2nd loss of his career, but very close with Islam Makhachev, who, is probably the pound for pound best out there right now, or either him or Volk. I guess that's what the fight was to decide. But anyhow, I got to go with Volk. And I'll also just 2 stats. Only 7 of 19 of Rodriguez's fights have gone the distance, and most of those 3-round fights. And only 11 of 27 for Volk have gone the distance, and a lot of his have been 5-rounders. Certainly the last few years.
Let me ask you something, B, because this is kind of if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. If a guy is a 4-1 favorite, Why do you think they would entice us with plus money for a stoppage inside of the 5 rounds?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, well, that's really basically the only way you can bet him. I mean, I'm just not obviously, I don't lay minus 400 prices. Now, I'm not against it in a parlay,
Well, you're not
but
even like a minus 130 guy. Like
yeah,
35 is about as juicy as you'll get, right?
yeah. I used to always say my rule in baseball was I would not go over minus 130 to minus 135. Now, I will make an exception in UFC. Like I'll go minus 150, minus 160 occasionally. Like I did Brendan Allen minus 160 a couple weeks ago in
You
Jacksonville.
crushed that card though. Even your parlay.
Yeah, man, I had a good day. That was a good one.
That was fire.
Knock on wood. I've had a couple of good UFCs here in a row. Knock on wood. So,
All right.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this: Are you surprised that Moreno is 2-1?
Yeah, kind of. Now
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, but I can't turn. Yeah, it does seem like a lot. I think he should be minus 130 or 40, but Pantoja has already beaten him twice, submitted him in the Ultimate Fighter.
I can't
Then
believe
wanted
he's favored.
then wanted a decision over him. Now, granted, that was 5 years ago. Moreno's made a lot of improvements since, but this is Pantoja's only 33. I mean, it's not like he's past his prime. This is the moment he's waited for. This is finally his title shot. He was very close to a title shot. He lost a decision to Figueiredo in 2019. But this is that opportunity Pantoja's waited for. He's already beaten him twice. Not a huge play, but I'm going with Pantoja plus 175.
So do you think Moreno is favored outside of the improvements just because of his size?
Well, I would just say he's just really put it together. He was only 22 when he got submitted in the Ultimate Fighter. He was only 4 when he got he was 24 because he's 29 now. So he was just a young pup, and Pantoja had 4 years of experience ahead of him. But now, I think they're equally matched. But it's kind of like Macy Barber when I took her plus 170 the other week. I kind of think it's a toss-up fight. So give me the plus 170 odds. And oh wait, Pantoja's already beaten him twice. That makes it even a little more a no-brainer for me to do it that way.
All right, Dan Hooker, you know a ton about Jalen Turner. He's explosive. Not a ton of value in the outcome. I think Turner's like almost 3-1,
yeah,
290, maybe something like that. Like, anything in there for you?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go with him to get the KO, and he's got 9 knockouts out of his 13 wins. He's 13-6. He has won 5 of his last 6, lost a split decision to Gamrot with no shame in that last time out. And Hooker, he's not done, but he's 33. He's off a win, but before that, he was on a 1-4 slide, got knocked out twice in the first round by Chandler and by Arnold Allen when he dipped to featherweight that one time. I just think Turner's really explosive. I think he'll catch him with something. And that's the way I'm going to go. Again, none of these plays are really like huge plays for me, but just little regular, medium, average size plays.
We appreciate the plays though, B. We need to make some money. At least I do.
Hey, so next week, Brad, I got to ask you because I know there's a team. I know you're kind of looking at win totals. So I'm going to give you a heads up.
Yeah, give me one.
For 2 teams next week.
Go ahead.
They're both in the Big 12. Oklahoma State and Texas Tech.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be ready for those next week.
Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. The models, the range is really, really broad, but the ceiling for both those teams for some of those ranges is high.
Gundy always finds a way to get at least 8-ish, it seems. So
and they got McGuire
they
down
got a
south.
cake schedule. So we'll talk next week about the Big 12.
All right, fellas, y'all have a great weekend.
You too. Sports Six Pack up next.
Rogers and Benning will We'll be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Sports six pack in just a few moments. But before we do that, I want to set up the rest of the hour. We're talking to Kenny Bell, former Husker and NFL wide receiver, at 9:30 at Afro_Thunder80 on Twitter. A gamer, DB.
Oh,
you know what happens when we talk to gamers.
Listen, 1,000%. He's got a great event coming up for Team Jack, a family he was exceptionally close to. And you know the thing about KB that I like? And he's not for everybody. I get it. He's super authentic. So whatever it is that he's feeling, whatever it is that he like, it's truly who he is. Like, it is the essence of who he is. I don't think he had always endeared himself to Nebraska fans. Like, he's very polarizing, but he's cool with it. He's a funny guy. Doesn't take himself too seriously.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because when I was at the Team Jack event, he was very smiley.
Yeah,
had a bubbly personality, but I didn't know if that was just because it was an event that he cared a lot about, or if that's just him.
He's had strong opinions, right? Political, philosophical, socially. Like, he puts it out there, and I think he's willing to deal with what comes with it.
Not me. He's a stronger man than me.
Listen,
I stay quiet.
He's about as transparent as they come. Don't ask him anything you don't want to know the answer to.
Let's go, Shane.
Time now for the Sports Six Pack on Coffee and Cream with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Presented by Zipline Brewing Company, makers of Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of Nebraska alumni.
Zipline has a new summer beer out called the Can Opener Tropical Ale, which...
Well, what?
We joke, Shane.
Can Opener Tropical Ale.
It's their version of a better competitor.
Do you want me to slow it down for
Leinen Poople's Summer Handy.
Kugel.
No, we don't promote other during the segment.
I want to say the name right.
I'll have to line my desk with that next week then.
They don't pay us. We don't have to say anything. Maybe Liney, whatever.
Weinen Kugel?
Yeah. I didn't care about them.
The Can Opener Tropical Ale, a new summer crusher brewed with guava and lemon.
There's guava again.
Perfect for a hot summer day. Refreshing and slightly tart. So if you like maybe a more sour aftertaste, this
Your
one
personality.
could be for you. Sour
Little
or
tart.
sweet?
Little tart.
I'm like a Sour Patch Kid.
Little tart, man. We start messing with your principles. It is on and
Oh,
cracking.
it's definitely tart at that point. Ask for it at your favorite beer store, now available at all Zipline locations. Shane, go ahead.
Question number 1.
Yep, Shane's already buzzed. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna score!
Oh, wait.
I gotta read you Asian Wyatt's text.
Wow. Just now?
And it's all from your Chinese fried rice question.
What do you mean? Are you telling me that different ethnicities can't figure out how to make fried rice? I made it.
It's just funny. You made American fried rice. Okay, Shane, sorry. Go ahead. Why'd I blame you? Go ahead, Shano.
What's the difference in your mind between the next best player and the best player available for your team? Because in a lot of ways, it's easy to think all you ever need is just the best player versus one that fits.
So this question came on the heels of the NBA draft. And what the draft is a lot about is just taking the best player, right? Just the next best player. At least that's what one of my buddies said to me. And I said, well, if it was about that, then Cam Whitmore would have been taken a heck of a lot earlier. Because to a lot of people, he was the next best player, but he never fit on the team that came next, or next, or next. He dropped about 12, 13 picks. So I think in that case, the difference there is teams are obviously looking for who fits on no matter what. And when you're drafting, too, if you're in the first round, you're going to find a great player, a very, very good player. He may not be the overall best player, according to who, though, right? That's kind of how I think about it. Who's telling you that he's the best player? Is it the media? Is it recruiting profiles? Whatever. Is it your scouts? Who's telling you? No, you know who the best player is for you, and then that in turn goes with fit over next best player.
So I think it's different. If we're talking college, you definitely take the best player. I think there's cases to be made in professional sports about fit. And we see this philosophy all the time. Like, let's take the NFL draft. best player available or fit. Case in point, the Lions took a running back. Right? What was the great debate? Was he the best player available, or wait? That doesn't seem like a fit. Like they're deep here. So
until they move people,
then
it becomes more of a
in
fit.
college. I'm always going to take the best player available. Like if Keon Keeley became available at quarterback in college, I'd want Nebraska to get him. I'm not upset at Danny Kaelin. I'm not anything. Like if Keeley was on the market, I think you'd go get him. Because you can make that work. I'm not always. Listen, there's a guy in Caleb Williams that's available at USC, but what's the talk going to be? Best player in the draft. He's getting like the Andrew Luck, Lawrence grades. If I don't need a quarterback at 1, he's the best player. But am I taking it?
No, but you could then use that pick to
leverage
other things so that it does fit your team.
That's not the discussion. The discussion is will I take that guy because he's the best available? Because even if you leverage it and you trap, it's still the fit versus best player available. It doesn't fit, but you're still taking. You want your cake and eat it too. That I don't think that's really the question, right? Because if you're going to take him and then move him, everybody would do that if they could, right? That kind of defeats the premise of the question. Like, for instance, number 1 defensive back in America comes open in college. Nebraska allegedly has 7 DBs. Do they take him?
Yeah.
College is a lot easier to decide.
College definitely is
than the pros, right?
And I think that was if the majority of my argument for the pros was taking fit over best player.
If OKC had the number 1 pick, should they have taken Wembanyama?
They would have taken him.
They just drafted Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, but you can move Wembanyama to the 4.
Yeah, I don't think they draft. I really don't.
I think they would.
Question 2.
Question number 2.
Draft stock went from first round pick. Draft stock went from first round pick to drop off projection in a matter of the year. How his decline on the court was coupled with injury recovery, but based on what he's had to overcome up until this point, why K-State?
Ooh.
It doesn't say.
Are you talking about Kaluma?
Whether you know the info or not, even if you had to make a guess, is seeing Noel and Johnson NBA bound. The reason he believes this is the place to get back to last year's.
So the beginning of that question makes me think Kaluma.
It's got to be talking about Kaluma.
It doesn't say.
Okay,
my guess would be Kaluma. Because why would it? Who else would go from first round projection?
Let's assume it's Kaluma. Now read the second half of that question, Shane.
Draft stock went from first round pick to drop off projection in a matter of the year.
That was the first part of the question. Second part.
Oh, okay. Whether you know the info or not, even if you overcome up until this point, why K-State? Whether you know, even if you had to make a guess, is seeing Noel and Johnson NBA bound for the reason he believes this is the place to get back to last year's preseason expectations.
Okay, so essentially the question is, by moving to K-State and seeing how other players made their way to the draft, is that why Kaluma chose K-State? Does he feel like he can be that guy there that he was at coming into this season at Creighton?
It's interesting, right? Because this is why we can't ever get through 6-pack. This is tough. College basketball is interesting because it's always, for me, and I know I just went through talent versus fit. I think coaching style matters. How can he play, right? He's got a young up-and-comer coach. I mean, K-State's trying to lock him up long-term. He's got a vision. You see what guys like George did, transferring there. K-State's a good program in the Big 12. It's close to kind of where he's sowing his roots. Has the NIL. Basketball,
a lot of factors.
Basketball is weird because you can afford to be selfish as an individual player, and sometimes it pans out for you. So, because you just got to get yours, right? We've seen good players that don't play on good teams, but I actually think with K-State, I think he likes his coach too. And if I'm going to go someplace for 1 year as a mature rental, I think I'm going to take being comfortable first. I don't know how you would look at that. Like if you're established, you kind of done your thing. Is it about his draft stock, or is it about where I can function at a high level? I think for Kaluma, a lot of hands in the cookie jar, a lot of advisors. He's got handlers. I think he wants to be comfortable.
I think he also wants to take the Keontae Johnson approach.
I said Keontae George.
Moving from one spot to the next and seeing how he thrived at K-State. So maybe he sees a little bit of himself in Keontae.
A little rehab?
Right.
Yeah.
And look, because Kaluma knows that he underperformed at Creighton this past year. He knows that. And don't think that he isn't using that as motivation.
I do think there are multiple contributing factors. So I think coming off the injury in the offseason, panicking to play catch up because you have people in your ear, trying to do something different with your game quickly, even though you didn't get a chance to work on it in the offseason. I think there's a lot of factors. He's become the convenient whipping boy. And I'm not saying fans are killing him, but like we've moved off of Kaluma in a hurry because we didn't really like the way I told you about being at Creighton games and the dribble guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just become the popular guy not to like. But it's easy when you have like Trout and Green and some of these guys that are, and Mason Miller, that are kind of waiting in the wings. And you love the fact that Trout is having good rapport. It's easy to move off of Kaluma, but I do think he's a talented guy in some spots.
Yeah, I will say a lot of it is just knowing that you could see one guy rehab and have success. Now it's his turn too. And that's why I think a lot of it has to do with the coach too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Question number 3.
Microphone.
How much do you pay attention to teams being favorites in a certain number of games when betting futures? For example, I think OU on UCLA is 8, and they're favored in 9 games.
I don't think about it at all. I know cappers do, but here's the thing that I look at schedule first, like what I think a team is bringing back.
You make your own opinion on it first?
Yep.
Okay.
What I think a team is bringing back, because you always have to factor in injury. And in college athletics, especially in football, like there's no guarantees that the penciled in starting 11 or 22 will be there in like week 6. So I look at usually the historical prowess of the program, right? Or the individual matchups within the series. How does Nebraska typically play against Wisconsin? How does Nebraska typically play against Minnesota? I look. Why does Oklahoma State interest me? Your non-con and your home games are very advantageous, regardless of the talent on that team. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
Texas Tech schedule is very interesting.
I do a lot of research before I make my opinion. I let other people kind of like guide me that know more than me in regards to, hey, I follow this team, so I'm going to fill you in on what I talk about or write about every single day. So whether they are favorited in 9 games on paper,
like it's just hard. Like, do you think Minnesota's 7 points better than Nebraska?
No.
See, I don't either.
No.
So it's hard for me to look at.
Right, but that's why if I poll 2, 3, 4 different writers, if I'm really going to bet on the future of UCLA to win over 8 games because they're favored in 9, I need to make sure that 3 out of the 4 writers that I just read had the same thing.
Yeah.
Because if they're all over the place, then I avoid. I move on.
I look at it a little, but because of health and injuries, it's not the end all be all.
Well, and throughout the year, that's why I don't like betting football futures for that reason, because you could be 4 games in and lose your quarterback.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, look at Kansas.
Exactly what I'm saying. Seriously.
Question number 4.
How much would you tip for a $20 pizza delivery?
Okay, this was that prompt. So at the beginning of the show, I said, did you see the video that's circulating about the pizza delivery guy? He dropped off a $20 pizza at a rich house,
mad.
and he was mad that he got a $5 tip. That's
25%.
So he was mad because even though you tipped on the food, like, how long do you have to drive to get there? I don't know those back details.
I got this from my mom. My mom is a historically tremendous tipper. Like, she's unbelievable. And sometimes I look and I'm like, does she just want an even number? Or she's a big, if people are kind.
Yeah, kindness is
rewarded
rewarded
if they treat her well. And she's a generous person.
Good karma.
I'm anywhere between. I almost never do 15%. I start at 15, and if I like it, it's this. If I don't, it's 15%. On a $20 delivery for pizza,
I think $5 is fine. I don't care. I'm not looking at your house and saying because you can afford more, I deserve more.
Okay, cool. But have you ever done this? Because I just did this in Kansas City. You got Chinese food, and it was exceptional. And the Uber driver called, and he's like, "Hey, 2345." It was the Sheridan. I think it was McGee. So it was 2345 McGee. And I said, "Hey, do you want me to come down?" And he's like, No, I got it. Just wanted to double check. So, he dropped off $13 worth of Chinese food. So I had already included the tip in the Uber delivery. Mm-hmm. Then there's this thing that comes after where it's like, hey, how would you rate the driver? Your Uber app is still open, or DoorDash is still open. Would you
I
like
know what
to
you're
get
talking about, yeah.
So because he was kind and didn't make me come down to the lobby, even though I was willing, I gave him another $4 or $3 because I thought in my head, $3, not crazy, but $3 compared to 13 plus the 15% on the tip when you hit send seems like a lot, like almost, $6 for a $13 delivery, but it was because of the way it made me feel. So
and that's cool. In this case, with the pizza delivery driver,
I didn't think about it compared to the total.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Right. In this case, for the delivery driver, because you did that after the fact, right? You got the message afterwards.
Yeah, it stays
after
open.
you got the
where
food. You got the email, because I've seen that before too. I don't know if you can get that from if you ordered from Pizza Hut. I doubt it. But because it's all after. He didn't know you were going to give him another $4. This pizza delivery guy cussed out the customer, said F you after saying, oh, and thanks for leaving a $5 tip in, a very snarky tone.
Now, keep in mind, I went to KC on a budget.
Right, but why am I going to go pull open
right?
my email and give you more money? Like,
Yeah.
you have to just be okay with what you get. You're in that job. If somebody tipped you $100, you'd be eternally grateful.
That's a toughie.
Question number 5.
I got to be honest, man. A lot of times I don't tip based on what the total was. I tip based on the experience.
Maybe work for your
and
tip.
More times than not.
Is that
it? Well, if you're at a restaurant, you can guess based that you can. If you bought $20 worth of food, you're tipping $4. But if you like the experience, you may tip $9. Right?
Dude, my mom tips, like I go pick stuff up like that she'll order. She tips on carryouts. Do you tip on carryouts?
Sometimes I feel I hate when I go to like a sandwich shop counter and it's automatically says like tip there for me. And I'm like, What'd you do? Like, did you just do your job and make the sandwich for me? Like, you didn't like serve me. You didn't go get me soda throughout like my meal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't like those prompts because it always pops up. You go to a
Is
coffee
it because
shop,
you want to
it
be in
always
control to
pops
do
up.
it?
I want to be able to give you a tip if I like the experience.
I got you.
But I don't want to feel like I have. If I hit no, now you're going to judge me because I put no tip.
Yeah, that dude, like, and that's the guy that was at the door. They caught him on Ring. I didn't watch it, but I did see it. Shane?
Who's got a better chance of making the Super Bowl, Cowboys or the Jets?
Give me the Jets. I'll take Rodgers.
Oh,
good
my
defense.
Gosh, that is fantastic. Well, it has to be relative to the path, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't even know the schedule. Like, I didn't even look up either team's schedule. Give me the Jets.
I just think there's more good teams in the AFC. I'll take the Cowboys.
Well, the AFC North, we talked about that. How that conference is brutal.
I think I'll take the Cowboys, and
rather.
And I kind of like them. I know, like, I feel disgusting, but see if they can run the ball. But Quinn is a stud. Dak is pissed.
Jerry's old.
Jerry is old.
Steven's an idiot, but I kind of like Dallas.
Micah Parsons can only play the line now.
I'm still baffled by that. I'm telling you, that's gonna be my thing.
You'll be stuck on that all season.
We'll be in December, and you're gonna be like, you're back on this Micah Parsons thing. I'm like, well, they made him one-dimensional. Dude, he was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to be cool with it.
But what if he's even better?
Did you see him on Get Up? He had that tank on.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even have like striation. He didn't even have like muscle tone. His arms look like ham hocks. Yeah, you may have never cooked with ham hocks.
I know what ham hocks are.
That's kind of how they looked. I was like, ugh.
Okay, so here's question 6.
All right, sorry.
Wisconsin is in a similar boat to Nebraska this season. New coach, new system, new everything, essentially. Who do you think will have a better year one, Wisconsin or Nebraska?
Boy, two schools I know really, really well.
So, okay, in terms of success here, is it only record-based?
Wisconsin has an amazing schedule.
Relative to how Wisconsin has been and what Nebraska has been, like Wisconsin is going to have the better record
because of their schedule.
Yes, their schedule I think is fairly easy.
That's what. Like their home schedule. It's Rutgers, Iowa, Ohio State, Northwestern, Nebraska.
Yeah, and I think they only play. Do they play Michigan this year? Is that the only tough team, or Ohio State? They play one of the two.
And they have 7 games at home.
And I know they don't play Penn State,
but I don't know.
But if you're doing relative,
I think they're very similar. Slight nod to Wisconsin on the schedule, but of course I'm cheering for Nebraska.
I don't know if you're going for success, just changing it over. Give me Nebraska.
Gotcha.
Kenny Bell up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes.
There's Burkhead on first down, reverse, Kenny Bell with Taylor Martinez out there on the edge with him. Bell runs right past his quarterback down the sideline. Kenny Bell 82-yard touchdown run for the freshman.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
There's Burkhead on first down, reverse, Kenny Bell with Taylor Martinez out there on the edge with him. Bell runs right past his quarterback down the sideline. Kenny Bell is going to take it all the way for a Nebraska touchdown. 82-yard touchdown run for the freshman.
As we anxiously await the interview with Kenny Bell, I want to take a moment and tell you about Dingman's Collision Center. 4 locations serving Omaha and Papillion. Dingman's Collision Centers have served Omaha and Papillion for over 25 years. Manufacturer certified auto body repairs backed by a lifetime warranty. They are family owned, they are locally owned, and you can schedule an estimate at dingmans.com. They'll take care of you. Trust me, I would know from a personal level. And so would DB, because you dropped off, 2 cars there now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mine and then Caleb's. So, yeah, it happens.
Well,
you need
car issues do happen.
Are we still waiting on KB?
We're waiting on KB, yeah.
Hey, so Lupe wanted me to know his bestie is ex-military. He's not ex-military. He did not want that misnomer out there. Sorry, Lupe. Lupe's still buff, though. So, Lupe, how'd you get all your muscles?
You don't have to go to the military to get muscles.
No, but he had, and he's kind of inked up. But it was dark, so it Listen, another grown up just doesn't look at another grown up and be like, hey man, let me see your tattoo. I kind of feel awkward, but there were a couple. Man, he's like pretty buffed, but I misunderstood.
Showing the gun show. What do you think he did?
Lupe?
Yeah. Well, do you know his job, his profession?
No, but his wife's parents sat near my parents and with season tickets at Nebraska. He's a huge Nebraska fan. Like his garage, I told you about the punching bag.
The punching bag with water.
Dude, he's got like this monogrammed N, and like dude's all in on Nebraska. But so that's his buddy it's his buddy that's bringing back the tequila that must be military. I thought Lupe was. Again, 10 o'clock at night, fireworks. He's trying to pour a reposado down my throat. Maybe I misunderstood.
And this was 2 nights ago, not last night, when you're not supposed to be shooting off fireworks. People were.
He did ask me, hey, why are you wearing a sweatshirt, bro? I was like, hey, man, I'm Team Hoodie. I know it's 95 out. Don't judge me. We got him,
Shane,
Shano?
good or no?
He'll be ready at 9:40.
Oh, KBZ.
We'll have a little bit more time with them, so.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's huge.
Oh, I like you, glass half full guy.
See, at first I was hurt, but now I'm not. But if I did have personal injury, I would have called Dyer Law, DYER .law. That is 402-393-7529. Any sort of personal injury, if you need a helping hand, Dyer Law has you covered. Trust the professionals over at Dyer Law to take care of you for your personal injury claim. Again, that's DYER .law. Let's check on Brian then, because we won't get him at 9:45.
I need everybody to calm down.
What's up, B?
Man, Damon.
What?
I want to say thank your mom, man. Your mom, you can tell the difference in generation. Your mom know what she doing, what she tipping. I'm going to tell you something, how to save yourself some money on the maps, because a lot of people seem to don't know how to they don't know how to use the app. First thing you do is pull the app up and put your dang location in or your address, so it brings the restaurants around you up. The reason why the cost goes up is because people leave their old location in. They're in a different part of town. They order. It makes the trip longer. Those delivery services don't want to pay per mile, and those drivers want $1 a mile. So if you're 12 miles away and you order from Kona Grill and you're downtown, buddy, you paying. If you want a $5 tip, order in your neighborhood. Order in your neighborhood. Then that keeps it within that range to make sure if you tip just $5, they'll get $1 a mile and you'll get your food. Otherwise, your food is going to sit on that shelf looking at everybody else come in and get their food. Okay? And if you don't want to tip, you got this option. Get your lazy behind in the car, drive to the restaurant, and get it yourself.
Okay.
How's that go shit?
So that's kind of partly my mom. She's extremely generous. There's no question, right? Like, I could ask her for something tomorrow, and she's gonna figure out a way to make. She's just like that. But I think a lot of her like belief system is because she's not willing to drive.
Yeah, you getting service. You got to remember, man.
You know what I mean? Like she's not excited. She's not excited to get in the car.
Yeah. But she recognizes it's a service. It took me a while to recognize that at my service, people deserve to get paid for service. Now, I ain't saying give them $100 just because they, every time they ask for it. But when it comes to that app, Andrew, you want to save yourself some money. I'm telling you, man, so you don't have that incident where that guy last for the 22nd went over had the shootout. Hey, don't do it. If you see long distance, if you know it's long distance, man, you probably want to cancel your order and start over again. But if you want to keep the price down, make sure you get your location first, because that's the number one user error.
All right, so let me ask you this, B. So I'm like in a hotel every 2 weekends. Should I be, and I kind of am, maybe I'm being naive. So I pay for the DoorDash pass. So I don't have any delivery charges.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you save yourself some money.
So I paid for it in like 2 months.
In 2 meals.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So should I be even more considerate, or am I being taken advantage of? Like if they're coming to my hotel door and just drop it off, like they're getting on the elevator, they're finding where I'm at, and they leave it. Like, because I kind of pay for that.
I'll tell Damon, because on the DoorDash app, it does show you how many miles away it is from you. So if you look at that and think that the dollars, I bet when you go check on YouTube, they got all this stuff up. They want $1 a mile.
I mean, you played 3 games. Parents don't always want to get together. It saves money. Like sometimes you just want to. I don't know, man. I'm not one of those guys that I'm not one of those guys that goes out on the road either. So like I'm in my room.
I'm telling you, $5. If you get a trip and they say 4 miles for $7, that's more than enough.
All right, hey B, real quick.
That's what I'm getting at.
We got our 6-pack of questions. Take your blinders off. Better chance to get to the Super Bowl, Dallas or the Jets?
Hey, I heard Adam's answer. I almost told you to bring in Robbie after you answered that. And he got that difficult.
Did he just call me
AFC East, AFC? Yeah, I'm my bad. Oh, my bad. Wrong person.
I feel like this.
Wrong person. I forgot the
He was that mad. You said the Jets. He's like, he's dead to me.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Ain't nobody picking Skylight Airlines. Ain't nobody picking the Jets. We gonna pick the Cowboys. They got the easiest division. They do.
Now we said that last year, and everybody was good. Like the NFC East is tough.
The NFC, man, you got all those quarterbacks. Wait a minute. The last 2 quarterbacks we had in the NFC was one of them.
Nobody believes in the Patriots.
The Patriots. Hey, come on, man, I want to bring back Mark Eason. That's what they need to do. Bring back Eason. They got a better chance of going somewhere with you.
He could barely beat out Steve Grogan. You're wild, B.
So he's taking the Cowboys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, B. I think that's interesting though with those apps because sometimes. And listen, a lot of times you hear me complain every week, right? Like, I don't want to go here. I don't want to pay for this. I don't want to do that. Like summer travel. Like we don't, I'll maybe have, and I'm typically 98% of the time it's been me and Micah.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of like I ate Subway twice, but so this particular time when I got the Chinese. We were at the Sheridan downtown off of McGee Street, like I said, 2345. And it was like these split towers. It's a big place. It's like right next to Legoland. But it was only like 6 minutes from the arena. So it was very confusing. Like it was 33 through 41 are here, rooms 28 through whatever were here. And so when he called, I kind of felt like he was maybe lost.
Okay.
But he's like, no, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure you weren't coming to the lobby. I was like, do you want me to come to the lobby? So once he dropped it off, he was super cool. And then the app doesn't close out until the delivery is complete. So you do the rating or whatever. How was your driver? And then like I can take care of him again. So I gave him another $3 on a $13 deal.
They send the follow-up.
I didn't think about the total of what the meal costs. I thought about the experience. And $3 is just $3.
And it saved you. It was convenient.
But he did get $7 on a $13 delivery.
That's pretty fire. Kenny Bell up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
There's Burkhead on first down. Reverse, Kenny Bell. With Taylor Martinez out there on the edge with him. Bell runs right past his quarterback down the sideline. Kenny Bell is going to take it all the way for a Nebraska touchdown. 82-yard touchdown run for the freshman.
Are you hyped, DB? I'm hyped.
One of the, he's one of my favorites. One of the good guys.
We get to close this thing down on a Thursday. Feels like a Tuesday with Kenny Bell, former Husker and NFL wide receiver at Afro_Thunder80 on Twitter. Kenny, good morning.
Gentlemen, how's it going? I'm hyped to be on the show.
KBZ, off the easy, man. Like, what? What in the world has been going on? It has been a whirlwind for you, man. You've settled in. Like, you just do life, man. You got to walk me through as an adult who hasn't figured it out yet. How do you just take what comes to you? Like, I mean, you just do you.
Yeah, man, rolling with the punches. That's for sure. Just trying to figure it out day by day, but luckily have an semblance of a plan that I stick to, DB. But honestly, I couldn't do it without the network and the people that I always relied on and built during my time in school. So that's why I had to come back to Omaha, and I'm there now. So
allegedly, you don't live very far from me. I'm off 108th in Harrison. Did I hear? I don't want to give up locale, right? I don't want your Apple phone pinging. But are you close to Gretna?
Yeah, I'm not too far. You want me to, I can't drop the pin.
So you're in Strickland, living out there in the land of Bougieville, man. How is it?
Yeah,
I can tell you that I like it. I'm downtown a ton, and man, so coming from Denver, I don't know if you guys have been in Denver lately.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, man, it's congested and it's brutal. So coming out to Omaha and getting everywhere I need to be within 20 minutes and not having to worry about it, man,
it's nice.
It's funny when you hear other people talk about traffic, right? Because we're always traveling with the kids and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, Omaha's not that bad.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
We take it for granted.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, free time. I mean, this is me. 200%. I'm a huge gamer as well. So I asked Damon this, so I got to ask you this. Like, what's kind of your game of choice?
Yeah, that's interesting. If you asked me like back in school, I would have told you like first person shooters, no question. And I'm into them. But I like RPGs. I like FPS. I'm kind of an eclectic gamer. The same way I like country music and EDM and hip hop. Like, there's nothing that I'm not too interested in. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I can't say I'm a specific gamer because I like platforming, like everything. So like I'll play some of my main games are like Overwatch, PUBG, which are both shooters, right, for the most part. But then I'll play like NHL a ton. I'll play stuff like High on Life, that new like adventure game.
Yeah, that's what all. So you got some youth. You got some youth to you, right? Like sometimes, sometimes I watch you on social media, and I was like, gosh, sometimes on social media, like you have an old soul, right? I think slippers and house shoes and a robe with a cup of coffee, and then you turn around and you're like giving me the newest version of online gaming.
Don't just tell all the people what I'm wearing. Calling me out. It's Thursday. I'm supposed to be working. Calling me out in my morning attire.
Oh man, Kenny. So you're doing a lot of stuff with Team Jack.
Yeah.
Talk to me just a little bit about how much of an impact that has on you, not just like the impact that you leave on that organization and everybody you come across, but how that impacts you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to genuinely believe that the impact that the kids and the families have on the alumni, like myself, is far more than the impact that we have on them. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think for the past since 2014, when I made the first gala, I think I've made the 9 consecutive galas after that with my entire family.
Oh.
So it's really become more of a second family, a community, than it has like something I volunteer to do. You know, it's something that's constantly on not only my mind, but Spencer Long, Jeremiah Searles, Rex Burkhead, Brent Qualley, and that's just to name a few, that are constantly trying to find ways to help these families and get the attention and the research, the clinical research that they need. And this was kind of just like something that, as our football careers kind of fizzled out and we got into the professional side and business side of things, we thought, how can we still utilize our Husker network as we build our professional network and incorporate the foundation? And obviously a golf tournament was kind of the next progression of things. Last year, we kind of threw it together in a couple months, just because we were coming off of football season and all that stuff with the guys. But this year we got to really sit down 8-9 months before and put a plan together. And last year it turned out great. This year it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to, make this an annual trip, especially with guys. Football careers starting to come to a close. Not that I'm throwing shots or anything. I hope they can play forever. But as those start to come to a close, getting them back to Lincoln and getting them involved with our alumni network and sticking with the foundation, because may obviously rest in peace, Andy, but the fight will certainly continue for these children and these other families, right? So, and I think that's exactly what Andy would want us all to do. So I plan on doing it.
I'm one of those, I hopefully you can attest to this. I'm one of those old heads that like I gravitated towards you guys right away. It wasn't, well, we did this and they do this. Like I'm for the program and I'm for people, but primarily with your group to start with when I was getting into media, because I saw like the you guys were tight knit and there were good players at the same position, and you guys had to cheer for one another, and you loved your coach, and it was about the program. So that kind of endeared me to you guys because I kind of saw similarities, right? When you look back at the guys that are still, you just rattled off 5-6 guys that you played with that are still with you, true and blue, right? Like you got to kind of walk me through the camaraderie and the chemistry that made those teams what they are, that have kind of transcended the sport.
Yeah, that's actually fun, like not a funny question, but it's an interesting one because it's always I think the same reason you gravitated towards us is the same reason we gravitate towards you all, and men like you during your period, is because we were like-minded and we understood that we are good football players and we appreciated that. But if the program and what we were doing every Saturday wasn't about really playing football, I thought it was about being a fan, what life was about. We always talked about football being a microcosm of life, you know. So I think we probably got that from our head band. I'd like to think that, but it also just came from day to day of being. We lucked out and we're surrounded by great young men and coaches that taught us that, you know, football is one thing, but being a good man is an entire another. And that everyday life, you know, you're not going to be able to play football forever, and people aren't going to care. I don't want to say aren't going to care about you anymore. That's extreme, but it changes when you can't run fast, jump high, and catch the ball anymore. And what will you rely on then? You're going to rely on your athletic ability, or you're going to rely on, you know, how you treat people, how you approach every day. And I think that's the kind of stuff that just stuck with us at that time, and we understood that. And I think the generations before us understood that, and that's why we had something special.
Kenny, take yourself back to your playing days for me. And I'm not sure if you were ever coached by somebody similar in age to you when you were playing, but from a player's perspective, what would you say are the benefits for this position group in working with a 24-year-old positional coach? And how would you handle in being in that room playing for someone just a few years older than you?
Oh, I'd be hyped. Like when you're that age, we had Joe Gann's perfect example. Wasn't, you know, like an old head when he was coaching us. He was coaching the wideouts, or excuse me, the quarterbacks when I was like a junior, senior. And I want to say Joe was probably, I mean, I couldn't tell you at the time, but 27 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. I don't think there's 10 years between you.
Yeah, I don't even think there's that. So, yeah, and speaking of Jay Gans, he's going to be at the tournament on Monday.
He's an amazing person. I bump into him because he recruits the area. He's one of my closet favorites.
He's great. So I think back on that and how much I loved and respected Jay Gans, and the kind of, obviously there's a fine line between player and coach, but when you have a guy that you can kind of relate to on a cultural level, does that make it like a social level? Yeah. Feel like you're out of touch with, you know, where you're at maturity wise. That can be very powerful. So I'm cheering for him. No, there's no question. If he ever wants me to stop by, I'd love to help in any way I can.
Talking with Kenny Bell. He's got a great event, Team Jack Golf Classic out at Wilderness Ridge. It's Monday, so it's right around the corner. They got an 8:30 breakfast, a 9:30 shotgun start. Let me get you out of here on this in the last minute, Kenny. Can you see, one of the things Coach Rule told me is, gosh, you know, with that Bo era, his players loved him. They are loyal to the soil through and through. I want to create a culture where our players can rally for one another. Humbling, I told you so. We just were authentic. Like he used you guys in researching and studying younger players with former coaches, that he used your era as an example.
Oh, that one, I'm very, very, very appreciative of that. And yeah, it's not a I told you so or anything like that. I know that the head man would be very appreciative of that as well. I think just hindsight is very powerful, right?
Yeah.
Back then,
wise.
Back then when I was saying stuff like I would pray for Bo at the gates of hell, you know, those things came off as like a psychopath, you know, like these kids are brainwashed. But it was just something that we deeply cared about. We deeply cared about one another. So just to hear Coach Rule kind of have that idea for the program just lets me know, and our fan base know that they're definitely heading in the right direction.
You got some great guys, Slauson and Vokalek. One of my favorites, Brandon Riley.
Oh yeah,
man, it is. I'm telling you, man, and you know I mean this. Whether you have the hat on during the spring game and we're doing interviews, you guys are messing with me. I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you guys as ambassadors and what you've done for the program. And I've emceed the event, man. You know I love Team Jack and what it stands for. So we appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Please let me know next time I can come stop in. When I'm not on the road, I'd love to come see you guys and express my gratitude. It's been a while. We got to have lunch.
Andrew thinks he can take you in gaming, so I
one-on-one. Let's go, Kenny.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That'll do it for Coffee and Cream this morning. We'll be back tomorrow.